Netflix offers $83 billion to Warner Bros. Paramount's $108.4 billion counter-offer. Amid uncertainty, Hollywood in panic. The stakes are high. It's like a poker game. Who will win the Warner Bros. Battle?
Well, the global entertainment industry is witnessing one of its most consequential power struggles in decades, as two streaming heavyweights, Netflix and Paramount Global, circle Warner Brothers in what could become a defining deal of the streaming era. At stake is not just ownership of one of Hollywood's most storied studios, but the future direction of content creation, distribution and audience control in an industry already undergoing rapid transformation. Hello and welcome. You are watching NewsX Explained with me, Vineet Malhotra. Today we are discussing a once-in-a-generation consolidation move that could secure either Netflix's or Paramount's dominance in premium storytelling. The Golden Globe nominations came out on December 9th, 2025, and two films dominated one battle after another with 9 nominations, and Sinners with 7 on the television side. The White Lotus led with 6 nominations. These productions have something in common. They're all products of Warner Brothers Discovery, which has also dominated the box office this year. A record 7 straight Warner Brothers releases debuted with more than $40 million in receipts in their opening week this year, the most consistent run of success in movie history. On the other hand, we have Netflix, which has spent years saying it did not need Hollywood. Now it is suddenly interested in Warner Brothers. No announcement, no celebration, just quiet conversations. Netflix proposed a deal of $83 billion to buy Warner Brothers with more than 300 million global subscribers, and Netflix is already the industry leader. A deal with Warner Brothers would see total paid subscribers for the entity swell to more than 400 million. At first glance, the logic behind Netflix pursuing Warner Brothers appears straightforward. Warner brings with it one of the deepest content libraries in entertainment history. From DC Comics and HBO originals to CNN, Warner Brothers Pictures and decades of film and television IP. For Netflix, which has spent years building content scale but not legacy franchises, the acquisition would instantly add cultural heft, institutional credibility and a pipeline of globally recognizable brands. Netflix already commands over 260 million subscribers worldwide, operates in more than 190 countries, and has become synonymous with streaming itself. By absorbing Warner Brothers, Netflix would instantly gain access to premium IP, theatrical distribution muscle, and a pipeline of prestige content that it currently licenses or competes against. From Netflix's perspective, the deal would solve several strategic challenges at once. It would reduce reliance on licensed content, strengthen its position in theatrical releases, and give it legacy brands that resonate across generations. HBO alone could elevate Netflix's premium positioning at a time when subscription growth is slowing. The fight over the future of Hollywood then got nastier. Paramount Skydance Corporation launched a hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers Discovery Incorporated at $30 a share in cash on Monday, just days after the company agreed to a deal with Netflix Incorporated. The offer values Warner Brothers at $108.4 billion, including debt. Led by CEO David Ellison, he bypassed the WBD board, appealing directly to shareholders. Now here is the caveat. Netflix valued Warner Brothers equity at about $72 billion or $27.755 per share, offering $23.25 in cash and $4.5 in Netflix stock. The offer excluded Warner Brothers' debt-heavy cable networks, including CNN and TNT, which would be spun off into a new public company, Discovery Global. Paramount is now accusing Warner Brothers' board of ignoring 6 superior offers and conducting a biased process that favored Netflix. In an open letter, Ellison highlighted the strength of Paramount's all-cash bid, its cleaner regulatory path, and its plan to keep WBD intact by merging HBO Max with Paramount Plus, its streaming platform. WBD's board must respond to Paramount by 18 December, but switching suitors would require paying Netflix a $2.8 billion breakup fee. Paramount Chief Executive Officer David Ellison has touted his family's good relations with President Donald Trump. The president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is participating in the Paramount bid through his affinity partners. Trump has indicated that he will be involved in approval of a Warner Brothers sale. The market responded instantly. The shares of WBD rose about 6% after Netflix's announcement, reflecting the premium over pre-auction levels. Netflix shares fell roughly 3%, and Paramount shares initially fell about 10% after losing the board auction, but rebounded 7 to 9% once its hostile bid was launched. Netflix's share fell because it is borrowing $59 billion to acquire Warner Brothers. That's among the largest debt burdens ever. Since Paramount made this sweeping bid for the same Warner Brothers, Hollywood stopped behaving as a creative industry and more like a balance sheet. Two giants circling the weak target. Warner Brothers is not just another acquisition target, it is one of the foundation pillars of Hollywood. With a library that includes DC Comics, HBO, Warner Brothers Pictures, CNN, and an archive spanning more than a century. From blockbuster franchises like Batman and Harry Potter to prestige television such as Succession and The Sopranos, Warner Brothers represents cultural capital that few companies can rival. For any bidder, acquiring Warner Brothers is a chance to control both intellectual property and influence. In an era where franchises drive subscriptions, merchandising, gaming, and theme parks, Warner's catalog offers unmatched leverage. The crux of this argument is probably the asset, HBO. HBO delivered a promise to the audience. If something is on HBO, it was worth the viewer's time. The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, The Wire, Succession, The Last of Us. This kind of track record is impeccable and not by accident. HBO always had the pricing power because it delivered such content. HBO could charge more and people still stayed. The problem with HBO was never the quality, it was the ownership that was buried in debt. Warner Brothers, buried under over $40 billion debt, heavy debt changes behavior. It forces short-term thinking, aggressive cost cutting, and constant pressure. This battle is not merely about who can pay more, it is about what kind of entertainment empire will survive the next decade. One of the central concerns surrounding Netflix's bid is whether the company's streaming-centric model can truly sustain a traditional studio ecosystem. Critics argue that Netflix's emphasis on algorithm-driven content and volume production may dilute Warner Brothers' creative legacy. There is also growing concern about Netflix's competition with YouTube, which increasingly dominates the screen time, especially among younger audiences. While Netflix remains the leader in long-form subscription content, YouTube's ad-supported creator-driven model is eating into viewer attention and advertising budgets. Skeptics question whether Netflix can justify a $72 billion acquisition when the broader streaming market is moving forwards towards slower growth, tighter margins, and consolidation rather than expansion. Netflix has only recently stabilized its profitability after years of cash burn, and absorbing Warner Brothers' debt-heavy operations could strain its balance sheet. Regulatory scrutiny is another looming obstacle. A Netflix-Warner merger would place enormous control over content, distribution, and data in the hands of a single company, raising antitrust red flags in both the US and Europe. Paramount Global's interest in Warner Brothers represents a fundamentally different approach. Unlike Netflix, Paramount is a traditional media company, adapting to the streaming age, not redefining it entirely. Paramount already owns Paramount Pictures, CBS, MTV, Nickelodeon, and Paramount Plus, making it one of the last remaining vertically integrated media conglomerates. A merger with Warner Brothers would create a studio powerhouse that could rival Disney in scale and breadth. Paramount's bid is believed to be more conservative in valuation, relying on asset consolidation, cost synergies, and legacy distribution networks rather than aggressive subscriber growth projections. For Warner Brothers shareholders wary of disruption, this model may appear safer. There is also the creative question. Filmmakers, showrunners, and actors are watching closely, aware that ownership structures influence budgets, risk-taking, and artistic freedom. Warner Brothers has long been seen as a filmmaker-friendly studio. Whether that reputation survives under new leadership remains uncertain. The battle between Netflix and Paramount for Warner Brothers is not just a corporate takeover story, it is a referendum on the future of entertainment itself. It asks whether scale and algorithms will triumph over tradition and craftsmanship, or whether legacy studios can adapt without losing their soul. As the industry watches, one thing is certain: whoever wins Warner Brothers will not just inherit a studio, but the responsibility of shaping how the world consumes stories in the years to come.
Netflix offers $83 billion to Warner Bros. Paramount's $108.4 billion counter-offer. Amid uncertainty, Hollywood in panic. The stakes are high. It's like a poker game. Who will win the Warner Bros. battle?